Welcome to Marketing Brew Weekly, where we dissect the trends and strategies that are surprising and delighting the marketing industry. I'm Jenny Mywin, reporter at Marketing Brew.
I'm Kelsey Sutton, editor.
And I'm Katie Hicks, senior reporter.
So we here have been all Olympics all the time, Winter Olympics, which is obviously airing on NBC and Peacock. So it's not just a big moment for the Olympics, but a big moment for Peacock as well. So it's kind of had all of us wondering, what is Peacock going to do to take advantage of this huge moment? And what are some lessons in there that other brands could be taking as well? Let's find out. So we're going to talk about the Olympics, I promise. But first, today is a very special day. Today is our Marketing Brew event, The Art and Science of AI in Marketing here in New York City. And if you aren't already here, there is a live stream that you can still tune into as well. And then in May, we're bringing you another event that's diving into social and creator marketing, everything that you need to know about the social space. So if you're in New York City for that event, come join us. If not, live stream also available. All this info will be at marketingbrew.com/events, which you can also find in the show notes. With that out of the way, let's talk Olympics, guys. What's going on in the Olympic world? What are you watching?
Doubles luge.
Of course.
Absolutely doubles luge.
How many people can they get on those sleds?
I want triples. I want quadruples. Stack them up.
We're talking about, I've been watching figure skating, so I feel like the quad god, like Ilya, has been a huge thing. No, let's go quadruple luge,
Yes.
baby. Let's see them.
New quad gods.
Yes.
I watched some cross-country skiing, and I was tired just watching it. You're going up like the equivalent of a 10-story building, like in elevation gain on skis, and then you have to do it like 20 times in a lap.
I'm tired just thinking about it.
Oh my God.
Wasn't there a guy who did like a sub 6-minute mile too on skis? I can't even do that off skis.
Yeah.
I was my heart would legitimately explode out of my chest if I tried to do that for 1 second.
Yep.
It's unbelievable.
Yep. So clearly we're Olympic athletes. We're ready.
Yeah,
I think
yes.
NBC should call us next time.
Yes.
Yeah, because they're in charge of, picking the
Right.
athletes. But obviously it's Olympics all the time. Big moment for NBC and Peacock. But they're not just Olympics. I feel like they're also known for largely Bravo, reality TV. That's kind of what Peacock has been known for. But Olympics is such a big moment for them. So I'm curious to see where they're going to take it. For me, Peacock is a little reality TV hub. I'm a Traitors girl through and through. I know, Katie, you are too. We could maybe turn this whole episode into a Traitors episode. I won't do that for everyone's sake, but I love that show.
Did you
too.
subscribe to Peacock for Traitors or for reality TV?
I'm going to admit to something I probably shouldn't admit to on the air. I do use my friend's Peacock. So they were subscribed pre-Traitors.
Okay.
But I logged in for Traitors. So
I think I don't know how I even have Peacock. I think it's because of my phone provider.
Oh,
I think
okay.
I think it's a package deal.
Uh-huh.
I just got it one day.
So you weren't seeking it out. You weren't I need Peacock.
It was something that I got because I got something else. And I was like, all right.
Yeah.
And now I watch Traitors.
And I feel like this is so emblematic of Peacock's big challenge, which is we have so many streaming services available, and all of them are getting more expensive by what feels like the second. And so I feel like for them, the Olympics is such a huge moment to get people in the door. If somebody says, I really want to watch figure skating, oh my gosh, and I don't have a phone plan, or I don't have a cable plan, I need to be able to watch this, or I don't have an antenna or something. Peacock is a great place to do it. And they really emphasize, okay, it's more affordable. We've got the ad-supported tier. It's less expensive than some of these other tiers, but it's not really known as a must-have. And I feel like the Olympics is such a moment for it to be a must-have. And then the question is, how do they make it a must-have perpetually, right? I think that I looked up a couple numbers ahead of the episode, you guys know, I love a statistic. And so they last reported 44 million subscribers. That was a tick up from the last couple of quarters where it was 41 million subscribers. They've really kind of struggled to have a lot of growth. We have a stat from the Hollywood Reporter pulled together some of these statistics that are up on the screen if you are watching on YouTube. But, they have kind of struggled. And, okay, so 44 million, that sounds like a lot. But you think about some of the other, streaming services. Paramount Plus has 77 odd million, and they're kind of on the smaller side. Netflix has 325 million, so it's okay, we we're working from a low, so like they want more scale, right? And then also, we also know streaming is so expensive. It's so expensive to make shows, and it's hard to operate a streaming service. It's not easy money. I feel like maybe 5 years ago, people were like, this is easy money. And I think it's been a big reality check. But I really do feel like the Olympics is that moment, because it is such a unifying and we also know that people don't have cable. So many people don't have cable anymore. So, but the question is, after you're done watching all your figure skating, what next?
Will you stay?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting that I agree. The Olympics are such a big moment. Even if you have cable, I want to argue, because we also have cable through my boyfriend's father. We're just really mooching off our friends here.
This is the way so many people watch TV. It's totally normal. Yeah.
But we couldn't log into Peacock for whatever reason. And I was like, oh, like, should we just watch it on like the NBC channel? And my boyfriend was like, like the experience is better on Peacock. Like you can kind of like bop between different sports more. There's like more individual.
You can watch like 3 events at once if you want.
Exact Gold Zone, I think. They're comp for Red Zone, which is very clever, I have to say. But yeah, so I think like even with a cable package, even with access to NBC, the channel, I think there's an argument that Peacock for the Olympics is actually even better than the main broadcast. So I think that's kind of a crazy thing they should be really taking advantage of, because, yeah, people are signing up for the free trial or getting in there for the first time and being like, oh, I actually really enjoyed this experience of watching sports on Peacock. What do you do now to keep them sticking around and watching more sports or watching reality TV? Or are there Peacock originals? I don't know.
There are, yeah.
Oh.
I think the thing that's so interesting to me, and I think about this, I don't know if you guys remember this, but a few Olympics ago, it was kind of the first time it was like going to be available on streaming, but it was so limited. And I remember going to NBC Universal, and they kind of rolled out this plan. It was like going to mostly be on NBC and on USA and on some of their cable networks, et cetera. And then it was like a very small select number of things would occasionally be available on Peacock. And I remember thinking, like, what a missed opportunity for people who are just getting introduced to this streaming service. And I think there were a lot of factors, right? Like, do you have the rights to provide it in different forms, et cetera? But it has come such a long way in just a few Olympic cycles, because now you actually can legitimately subscribe immediately and just get all the content that you want, versus having, a spreadsheet to be like, when can I watch this thing? Oh my gosh, the replay is only available for 15 hours or whatever. And oh my gosh, I also need cable or whatever. I feel like that's so emblematic of like a sports fan. They're like, where can I watch anything? It's so impossible to navigate. And it's like, if NBC, like the fact that they've kind of figured out how to own the Olympics, I think is great for their brand and great for their streaming brand. But here's the other question. I'd love to know what you guys think about this. So much of streaming is like, you go in, somebody watches a show, and then you're like, okay, they subscribed and immediately watched this. What does this tell us about their taste? What does this tell us about what they value, et cetera? And then you take all these data points of the next thing they watch or the next thing they look up, et cetera, and you try to build like, who is this viewer? What do they like? What can I recommend to them, et cetera? And I feel like the Olympics is such a black box, because it's like, I don't care about figure skating except for during the Winter Olympics. And that tells you literally nothing else about what I might like to watch on this service.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's such an outlier versus if I'm like, oh, I'm watching soccer all the time. You're like, okay, she likes soccer. Great, perfect. Like, that will help me understand it. The Olympics is like so different that it's like, you can get a lot of people in the door, but it's like, okay, then what? Because if somebody's like, I'm obsessed with curling, you're like, okay, are you going to like, I don't know, do you like documentaries? Like, what do you like?
Yeah.
I have to wonder if this is why, like, in the UX, like, I'm like, it's interesting to hear that some people like it, because one thing that's been bothering me is, like, when you open the Peacock app, like, there's on the sidebar, like, the Olympics tab on the left, but, like, when you open Peacock, it's not the first thing that shows up. It's like they're trying to feed you all their other programs, and you have to scroll down, and then it's like, there's the live event that's happening for the Olympics. And it's like, to make me work for it, I'm like, okay, well, I don't really want to watch any of that. I want to go to the Olympics, and it's live, so it feels like it should be like the first thing.
Sure. It's because they know that that's what you're there looking for at this point in time.
But they probably want people to, like, as they're looking for the Olympics, say like, oh, I didn't know they had this show. I didn't know they had this original. I didn't know they had this movie. Like, and
like
they
that
do have some movies that I watched Begonia on Peacock, and I was like, oh, I didn't know they had this.
Yeah.
Right. And what a good, what good real estate, even though they're making you work for it, because that is what will ultimately keep somebody, sticking around, right? You know what I mean? Like if oh, I'm going to watch Begonia after the Olympics is over, and I know it's there because it was in the tile every time I opened up the app, that, it sticks. Yeah.
And I want to call out that I think it's interesting that Peacock's doing it with the Olympics because obviously it works, but they're not the only platform to do that. Hulu, I feel like, has forever done this. I have always been annoyed opening up the Hulu platform and being like, I just want to watch the show that I was watching last time I opened up Hulu. You have to scroll through like 3 or 4 rows before you get to like the keep watching tab. And Netflix recently redesigned their platform as well to kind of do the same thing. And I feel like Netflix used to notably be different, where your keep watching would be at the very top, or your favorites, or whatever it is that you have indicated interest in. And now they're kind of doing a similar thing where it's like, all right, well, here's some fun stuff that you should consider first and then get to it. So obviously, I think it probably is working for some of these platforms, and across the industry, they're all taking note and being like, yeah, it's kind of an easy fix. Like just put some stuff before they can get to whatever it is they're actually searching for. And in this case, it's the Olympics, which you can guess a lot of people are coming to Peacock for. But kind of not the only thing that people are coming to Peacock for this month, right? Legendary February. Tongue twister. Explain to me, what is that?
That's what NBC has been calling this month, because they didn't only have the Super Bowl at the beginning of the month. They have the Olympics all month long. They have the Paralympics, and then they're going to have, they just had the NBA All-Star Game. So these were all kind of huge opportunities for audiences and also for advertisers, because as we know, sports is a great moment for that. So they've been extremely leaning in, looking to get a lot of advertisers on board, which is great because, of course, it's huge audiences that are very locked in, very devoted, watching in these ways. But again, the question is, and then what happens after February, right? Like a legendary February, you want those advertisers to continue coming back, right? You want them, it's almost like a familiarity, not just for an audience who's saying, I'm opening up Peacock for the first time because I love the Quad God and I want to watch all the replays, or I love luge. But it's an advertiser who maybe goes, I haven't really invested this huge amount, but this is the time to do it. Here was what we're going to learn, and then they want to keep them in the ecosystem too. You know what I mean?
Well, because NBC has the World Cup later this year too, right?
They have the Spanish language broadcast of that, which
is huge.
Frankly, honestly, I'm like, that's huge because that's way more. It's way more fun to watch soccer with the Spanish language broadcast. In my opinion, that's like my preferred.
So
that's my preferred way to
Don't
watch
speak
soccer.
Spanish at all, but I think I would have a good time watching the Spanish
Absolutely.
broadcast. Yeah, huge moment just between all of that. But like you said, what happens then? Because we got to get people in the door. We got to keep going. So what are they doing on the advertising side that they're leaning into this moment? They are trying to take advantage of it. What is working right now, do you think?
Well, I mean, if you've been watching the Olympics, you've seen there's lots of ad breaks, and there's a lot of Olympic-specific ad creative, which I have kind of enjoyed. That's obviously a huge opportunity for brands, too. They know there's so much attention, and it's a great way for, like, a brand halo effect. But you're also seeing, little sidebars, little sponsorships, like all of that sort of thing is very evident on the platform. But, again, the thing you have to think about is if somebody goes, I watched the Olympics, it was too many ad breaks, I was over it, then that's the familiarity that they have with the experience. And that may color kind of the choices that they make. So it's like, I think there's a little bit of a balance. I have a lot of streaming. I don't have a ton of streaming services, but a lot of them I watch ad-free because I'm like, I just have to get in and out and watch my show and then like go on and do something else. And I think that because now I'm seeing it a lot, I'm kind of reminded, oh my gosh, these ad loads are heavy. They're a little daunting. I don't think it's like dreadful. But I'd love to know what your guys' thoughts are on that.
I've seen like mid-event ad breaks that I find a little intrusive. Like not like it'll be in when some like foreign athlete is performing, and like especially I think I saw this during like figure skating. It was like in the middle of somebody else's set, and I was like, just because they're not the American athletes doesn't mean I don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
And it was a quick one, but I was like, I don't know if that was the right move.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's an interesting assumption on the advertisers or NBC or whoever's like putting that in there, because it's assuming that the American audience only wants to watch the Americans, but kind of the spirit of the Olympics is that you're supposed to watch everyone.
And you want to know what they're competing against too, like no matter who you're rooting for.
Yeah, if you're only watching the Americans, like what if there's someone better? There's probably
I want to see some twizzles.
Yeah, show
God
me
damn
the twizzles. Yeah, also, honestly, not to talk too much about the quad god, but he did fall a lot, and if we hadn't seen his competition, it would have been crazy to like just come back from an ad break and been like, oh, he's actually in 8th place. What?
Right.
Like,
Right.
Show me what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like the other thing too is you mentioned there's like Olympic specific campaigns, right? The one that we kind of talked about a little bit before this episode was isn't there one featuring Lindsey Vonn that has been played a lot?
Yeah, the Figs ad.
Tell me about that. What's going on in that ad?
Yeah. Have you seen that one, Katie?
I've seen that. It's talking about like Lindsey Vonn's comeback and like all the surgeries she went through, her doctor or her surgeons involved in it, showing just like what kind of recovery and the number of surgeries she had to go through, whatever, to get back on the slopes. And then obviously we know that she has since been injured and is not competing anymore. I think they updated the ad though. I saw it recently, and it seemed like they were like they added something at the end saying like no matter what, like it showed her resilience.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, I'd be curious to talk to Figs and hear what that process has been like and what went into making that ad or adding that at the end.
Yeah, because like, do you think about that possibility when you're making Olympic-specific campaigns that the athletes that you're choosing to feature might crash and not be able to actually participate or injure themselves or for whatever reason? Like Simone Biles got the twisties, like obviously famously, like there is, I guess, a little bit of risk there in featuring these Olympic athletes, even though it feels like it should be a no-brainer, right? Like it's the Olympics. Of course you're going to feature Olympic athletes. Like everyone wants to see that. But yeah, especially with like a case like Lindsey Vonn's, I feel like it was just so sad the way that she obviously couldn't compete anymore. And then it's like you go from that coverage to then seeing her like triumphant ad campaign. And it's like, ooh, that is not right.
And I think it was made especially like noticeable by Peacock's kind of repetition of ads. I've seen a lot of the same ads over and over again. So I've seen that one a lot. I've seen some of the repeats from the Olympics, or from the Super Bowl rather, like the Svedka AI ad is repeated a lot for me. I don't know if you guys have seen that one too.
I've seen that one quite a few times on Peacock. Yeah, definitely.
It's amazing how much ad spend they put into that specific
there's also
campaign.
a ton of pharma ads, like just very repetitive. So like seeing that Figs ad over and over again, I'm like, oof, like just being reminded that like she's not competing anymore.
Yeah, I wonder how long it took them to like add on the little addendum, because that's stressful.
But right, it's high risk, high reward. It's like if she hadn't fallen and she had done something like that, we would be talking about how amazing that ad like was making us feel the whole time, right? So it's like, I think it's smart of Figs, which is they make scrubs, right? And like, so I think part of what that is focusing on like the medical professionals. I think it's a smart angle.
Yeah.
But
the other thing that NBC is doing that I personally love, because as I mentioned, Traitors girl, and figure skating girl, apparently, Johnny Weir and Tara Lipinski, who are the broadcasters for figure skating, former Olympic figure skaters themselves, have been competing on this season of Traitors, which is just like perfect planning on NBC's part, because
synergy defined.
Amazing.
They love this like cross-platform promotion too. They've got so many housewives on Traitors.
Yes.
They've got so many different people from other NBC-owned like networks that are coming on the show. So I think that was strategic and very smart of them.
It's perfect. Yeah, like obviously they've done it before on Traitors, but just something about like we said, the Olympics is such like a singular moment, and like Johnny Weir and Tara Lipinski maybe not be people that you think about outside of the Olympics, but now you have this other platform and show for you to be thinking about them. And frankly, they're hilarious on Traitors. They're kind of dumb, and they keep calling themselves dumb, so I don't feel bad saying that. But they're like
not a single right guess from either of them.
Not at all. But my favorite thing is that Johnny is like, there's a shot of him on Traitors, and he's going to bed, and he's stressed about being murdered for the night. And in the background, there's just a framed photo of Tara Lipinski next to his bed. And I'm like, yes, that's their relationship.
So funny.
So funny. But like the fact that you can see that on Traitors, and then you get to bop over to figure skating and you're like, oh, my new friends, Johnny and Tara, talking about figure skating. Now I'm like extra invested in this experience. And I'm like, when's the next time I can see Johnny and Tara? Is there another show that they can put them on? Because maybe I'll tune in on Peacock for that, honestly.
Well, and isn't that such a perfect example of like, okay, if you were a Traitors fan and didn't care about the Olympics, now you maybe are thinking about the Olympics, maybe you're going to watch it. And if you're an Olympics fan who has not watched the Traitors, it's sort of the opposite effect, right? It's like, oh, now I'm thinking about these people because they're, you know, part of this coverage that I've been watching. And maybe like now I'm thinking about the Traitors, and that I think is the power that NBC like is trying to tap into, and I think has the opportunity to really tap into. Of course, there are some limitations to how much they can do, but I feel like that's exactly what they want to happen.
Yeah.
They want somebody to either come in for the Olympics and then spin out and stay, or somebody who is on the platform already to stay for the Olympics and then learn about other stuff. And then, you know, it's all about that brand affinity, all about kind of making that happen.
And it's interesting that the brand affinity is like so attached to some of these characters, right? Which is not unique. It happens across like any streaming or entertainment platform, but it's like I'm specifically thinking about Johnny and Tara now. So it's like, all right, we got to get them on something else. We want to keep like that kind of that wheel turning. I will call out that it's not, again, not a unique strategy. We've seen this cross promotion happen across other networks. ABC is the big one that I think of, where they do like someone's on The Bachelor and then like pretty certainly they will be on the Dancing with the Stars season after that. And now they have Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, and they had two of those cast members on Dancing with the Stars last season. So it's so nice and easy, I imagine, to just be like, let's just circle people around in our universe and keep people coming back as long as people like them and as long as people are engaging with them, or there's controversy around them, which I feel like is kind of the Mormon Wives path of it all. So I know you watch Mormon Wives. I do. Are you tuning in for Taylor Frankie Paul's Bachelorette season?
I might. I'm not even like a Bachelorette or Bachelor fan, but like I might tune into this one just because I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, I have to see what they're going to do. So it works as a strategy for sure. Okay, so lots of momentum here. What can Peacock do to build off this momentum and keep people coming back at this point, do you guys think?
I feel like you have the spiciest take of all, which we were talking about right before the show. And I was like, Katie, don't tell me anything about this until we're recording. I think that the thing that they have to do is they have to convince me to keep subscribing month after month. And I think that knowing that the World Cup is coming and knowing that they have the Spanish language rights is like such a great opportunity for them to keep the sports fan. You know, what else do they kind of trickle out over the next few months to keep somebody continuing to log in, seeing stuff, etc. But for the people who are an occasional sports fan, and that's how I would describe myself, what's that original that I have to watch? And when is it available? And how soon are they going to start promoting that to me while I'm watching the Olympics, so that I will stick around? Because that's really the key. And I think it's just such a challenging thing to do. But if you don't have a good original, like I'm gonna go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, otherwise, people are gonna cancel their subscription and resubscribe when the World Cup's back.
Yeah, or like sometimes you can even do a new email and just get a new free trial if you're really trying to.
And people are creative.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like too, like what you're saying, it's like, yes, you got to make sure you get those viewers and like continue to build those numbers up for yourself, obviously for your own business, but also to attract advertisers outside of the Olympics, right? Like you have this ad tier, you have other moments that I'm sure you want to promote and have advertisers support. So it's like, yeah, you gotta figure out what you're doing so that these advertisers will continue to come back when it's not an Olympic year, when it's not specifically the Olympics right now. And I don't know, what is that? We'll see.
Well, because next year ESPN has the Super Bowl and there's no Olympics, and they're all like, so NBC's banking so hard on all these big sporting events this year, but yeah, they're going to need a longer term strategy to keep people subscribed and keep Peacock relevant. And going back to Kelsey's point, I mean, I think my biggest take with Peacock is like their branding, I think, holds them back. I feel like they're not like an A tier subscription because I don't think of Peacock as like the premier name for like a streamer. It just feels like something that they were like, I don't know, that's our mascot, that's our logo, like let's just call it Peacock and move on. It felt like an afterthought in terms of like their branding strategy.
Yeah, that's so interesting. It's something I never thought about until you said it. And it's like, I get what you're saying, right? It doesn't have the same like little like magic behind it that like Netflix, Hulu, like those are ultimately made up words that we now only associate with those platforms.
And if you think about Netflix, I'm like, that's actually the most boring name of all time.
So true.
Netflix.
Because it was like ordering DVDs off the internet initially, right? Ordering flicks.
But the
net.
thing is now it's like the Kleenex, right? It's like if you're just talking about streaming, people are like, I watch that on Netflix. I think
even if you didn't, probably.
Yeah. So I feel like there's such power in that. It's so funny because I've always thought Peacock was like, because they didn't do a plus in their name, I was like, they're on something. They're onto something. Thank God they didn't. Yeah. You know, because so many other streamers have done that.
But now they're dropping.
But
who was it? Apple TV is no longer Apple TV Plus, dropping the plus. So
yeah, well, they had a lot going on in that name, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something interesting to think about for brands, even if you're not a streaming service, right? Like for tapping into like a cultural moment, like the Olympics or something. I wonder, like, we were just talking, like, you have this moment, but it's also like kind of a standalone. And so it's like, what lessons can you actually take from this and then, you know, apply elsewhere? Because, and I think it's like, learn as much as you can from your audience, but also recognize that like there's some limitations because again, I'm like if you're watching ice skating or whatever, like who knows if you're going to watch Traitors or not? I don't know. We can give it a try. We can see if maybe that'll work, but you know, there's a little asterisk, I feel like, on what to learn, you know, from this.
I feel like you gotta like milk the cow for everything it's worth. Is that a phrase? I hope it is.
It should be.
I think it sounds right.
Cool, great. But like the cow in this case being the Olympics, and like, yeah, like try your best while all these people are on your platform and learn as much as you can and throw everything you can at them to hopefully get them to stay. But yeah, once it's not the Olympics, it's kind of, who knows?
I wonder if they'll lead more into like prestige TV. They had All Her Fault and Sarah Snook got nominated for a Golden Globe for that one. So I wonder if like that's their next vehicle is like in between sporting events. Like maybe sports and live events got you to sign up, but like now that you're here, here's this wonderful show we've produced. Yeah. And I know they've done originals in the past, but it feels like maybe they're trying to go for more talked about, awarded type of vibes.
Yeah, I remember they used to make a show called Poker Face, which I loved. Natasha Lyonne was the lead, and I think they canceled it after 2 seasons. But
it was well recognized.
I love that show. I thought it was a great time.
Shows. Yeah. So they have the background in it, at least with that show. So hopefully we'll see if they continue going down that path. I am interested in the Sarah Snook show. One of my friends has watched it and like really loved it. So I think there's hope for prestige TV heads
Post-Traitors.
Post-Traitors.
Keep that Peacock.
Wow. The range is so wide from Traitors reality TV being silly to like serious drama with Sarah Snook.
Look, a girl can like a lot of things.
It's true. And right in the middle, the Olympics.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so what's the thing that will keep you guys subscribing? Out of all the things that we talked about, what's the thing that'll keep you coming back at this point, post-Olympics?
Legitimately All Her Fault. It's like on my list of things to watch, and I don't have time this month to watch it, but I am probably going to watch it next month. So
yeah, it's Traitors or it's The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Okay, I've been curious at starting a Housewives franchise because I've never watched
that
it.
one.
Okay,
everyone's
perfect.
unhinged.
Perfect. That's the one I'll go with. That's the homework.
See, honestly, Peacock could not have paid you to do better marketing right now.
Right
Now
here.
Jennifer's about to watch something. She's
It's
going to be locked in
working.
forever.
Yes. Anytime I need just like brain-numbing TV.
Yeah, you got
I know where
6
to go.
seasons of brain rot ahead of you.
Perfect. Exactly what I need. And maybe exactly what you need. Who knows? Thanks so much for joining us today. And if you have thoughts on the Peacock of it all, the Olympics of it all, the Traitors of it all, I really want to hear those thoughts. So send us an email at mkbw@morningbrew.com, which you can also find in the show notes. And we'll catch you next week.